It happened in silence, the kind that makes courtiers look up from their briefing folders and check the headline twice. 4 years the Kate effect has been the royal family's safest bet. A dress sells out, a cause trends, and pollsters pencil in the Princess of Wales as Britain's unshakable favourite. This week the numbers blinked. In a government-run snapshot amplified by YouGov reporting, the crown of public favour slid, imperceptibly, but unmistakably, from Catherine's head to William's. 74% positive for the heir, 71% for the princess, and breathing on their necks at 70%, the monarch himself at 59%. A reshuffle of sentiment, not a revolution. But make no mistake, in a house where symbolism is currency, 3 points can buy a great deal. Why William, why now? Start with the year the firm has lived through. A cancer fight in the sovereign. Another, painfully shared, by the woman Britain instinctively shields. A country that leans on ritual learned something about fragility, and about steadiness. William has spent months doing the unfashionable work of a future king. Housing projects through the duchy, council tables not photo ops, letters to football captains in parishes most cameras never visit, 100 handshakes that don't travel the algorithm. It reads as ballast. Older voters, the spine of royal sentiment, recognize ballast when they see it. And Catherine. The public's bond with her did not fray, it deepened. But her strategy during treatment was the opposite of saturation. She rationed appearances, chose calibrated words, and let nature and patience do the speaking. That restraint became strength, yet it also moved her gently out of daily view. Polls reward visibility. Character endures absence. The numbers, in other words, are measuring proximity, not love. There is a second force at work, the duty effect. The princess invented the modern retail politics of royalty: wear it, mean it, lift it. The prince is quietly codifying something older, the grind of governance without the glamour. When a homelessness blueprint gets a council's unanimous green light, when a Cornish lane is laid so a village club can breathe, when a royal letter lands on a captain's locker, and a county stands taller, you are not watching fashion. You are watching the apprenticeship of a constitutional partner, one whose popularity has finally caught up with his portfolio. And then there is the N factor, 70% and climbing on sheer work rate. The Princess Royal is the monarchy's stern metronome, no drama, no wobble, the human proof that duty can outlast fashion. Her third-place surge acts like a reflector for William rather than a rival star. The public is telling the house what it wants more of: reliability over spectacle, craft over noise. When William reads that line, he hears approval of his tempo. The numbers themselves tell a subtler story. 74 to 71 is not a conquest, it's a duet finding a new balance. The marriage has always been the brand, and the brand has always been a double helix: her reach, his remit, her soft power, his hard yardage. The poll simply marks which strand is shining brighter in a season when continuity feels urgent. It is not a demotion, it is a division of labor the country intuitively understands. Inside the corridors, the implications are tactical, not existential. Expect more joint frames that let the public see the whole machine: William opening a site where the first residents are young adults who aged out of care. Catherine, across the city, rolling out the early years films that keep the next cohort from breaking in the first place. Expect staged contrasts: him in high-vis among scaffolds, her in meadow-quiet spaces where parents learn to lend calm, not chaos. Expect princess and triangulation, appearances that bracket the heirs with the monarchy's iron spine, converting Anne's personal credit into institutional trust. For the king, the signal is double-edged. 59% is not a crisis, it is a weather report. Britons are rarely sentimental about their sovereigns in mid-reign, they are exacting. Illness shortens patience for missteps and lengthens grace for candor. Charles's smartest response is precisely what the public rewarded in William and Anne: simplify, show up, and let the work speak. The more the court leans into visible usefulness, the less oxygen remains for the tired feud economy that corrodes every institution in 2025. Does the flip hurt Catherine? Only if Kensington misreads it. The Princess of Wales is not a creature of weekly scorecards. Her asset is compounding trust. Every time a nursery worker borrows a phrase from her films to help a child name a storm of feelings, every time a parent chooses patience, because a princess showed them how to breathe before they speak, a point is banked that no poll can spend. She is building infrastructure, not moments. Infrastructure does not trend. It lasts. The danger, always, for both, is overcorrecting. Popularity spikes tempt performance. Performance, in this family, is expensive. The Waleses learned this the hard way through history. They did not choose and cannot escape. Their way through is the path they are already walking. Show your marriage, don't sell it. Show your purpose, don't preach it. When the princess stays lean on words and heavy on proofs, when the prince stays modest in victory and ruthless only with his calendar, the numbers will follow their behavior, not the other way round. Watch for one more tell, how they use absence. The same week critics tutted over a planned gap in a commemorative rota, William's letter to Cornwall and Catherine's early years push were doing work that outlasts a wreath. The message to a country with finite attention is subtle but firm: we will honor memory with presence, but we will earn tomorrow with projects. The royal house that survives the century will be the one that convinces taxpayers it can convert sentiment into service without turning its private members into content. A note on the generational lens the poll reveals, and the audience that cares about it most, Britain's 55+ are the monarchy's arbiters. They remember the weight of the late Queen's example, they carry the receipts for every royal misfire, and they can spot the difference between a good week and a good character. This cohort is telling the Crown something precise: protect the line, equip the parents, house the kids, and spare us the theatre. In that rubric, William's uptick looks logical, not radiant. Catherine's slight dip looks like the tax you pay for privacy during treatment. Anne's climb looks like gratitude. The verdict, then, is not Queen of Hearts toppled, or heir becomes celebrity. It is plainer and therefore more radical. The public prefers a monarchy that behaves like an honest trade. The trade is care, steadiness, and usefulness. William presently appears to deliver the steadiness. Catherine, the care, Anne, the usefulness measured in days on the road and hours on her feet. Charles's task is to marshal all three strands and call it a reign. In a month, the numbers may budge again, polls are tied, not stone. What will not budge is the architecture the Waleses are building. A football road in a village no one filmed. A bench in a school garden where a child calms, because an adult finally knows what to do. A front door that locks on a flat Williams scheme made possible for a 19-year-old whose life needed a hinge. None of that is glamorous enough to anchor a headline. All of it is heavy enough to anchor a throne. So yes, the table turned, barely, but clearly. The princess's crown of affection rests an inch to the right tonight, on the head of the man who will one day ask the nation for a pledge. He did not take it from her. She moved it, for a season, to steady his hand. That is what strong partnerships do when the weather turns. The House of Windsor has remembered a simple law of orchestras and marriages alike. Sometimes the violin must hush so the drum can keep the time. And when the melody returns, it lands on a beat the country can follow.